Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode number 153 for the week of April 7th, 2014. My name is Ryan Higgins, who is here with me this week.
Brock Sager.
Omar.
And Charlie.
Hello, guys.
What's up, yo?
Hello.
Omar, you did not get to join us on our awesome Captain America trip to the movie theater, which we'll talk about later. But you were in the great state of New York.
Yes.
Were you in New York City?
Yes, I was, sir. It was awesome,
how was
man.
New York?
Oh, it's fucking bananas. It was an egg sandwich and a fucking bag of salt and vinegar chips, douche chips, if you want to call them that. And it was incredible being there, too, just because, I mean, obviously it's a patriotic film and everything, and New York is New York.
Seeing it in New York, yeah.
Yeah, it was just dope to be there for it, to see how many people were dressed up, see how many families were out for it. I think, like, at every theater, there was a line. I think after, like, usually 7 o'clock, when usually we're walking around to eat lunch, because we eat dinner there around, 11.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. It was awesome. The crowds were so much more into it, I think. I mean, obviously, I wasn't here when you guys were here, and when you watched the film, like, opening week, but everyone was into it. Everyone was, like, clapping. People were getting, internal shit a little more. It seems like a lot more of the mainstream viewers, movie film people stayed around for the end, but also new little shit, like, just... It seems like some people were up to speed with, like, the Epstein Brubaker shit that was obviously a big part of the film. And, yeah.
We'll talk big cap spoilers at the end of the
Sure.
episode here. So obviously I have a lot to say about that. How was the city otherwise, though? Have you been there before?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've went back and forth to New York. New York was like my second home in my mid-20s. I used to work there for Sony. Not there, but there, LA and here in Chicago, and just helped with all the Sony stores. And it was just great at a young age to be able to just be there, for like, say, 2 days for work, and then be able to spend one day just like cruise around and everything.
Cool.
Just great people. I love New York.
Excellent. I haven't been to New York in way, way too long, so I need to get back there one of these days.
Highly recommend if you guys are going to be out there sometime, rather than just going to Midtown, which obviously is the thing to do. That's where I got this fine piece of fabric. I was so excited. I saw it like on websites, whatever, but they have like every fucking shirt that's come out from Marvel to see there that you can buy on the second floor or third floor, actually. What I was going to say though, the shop you should check out, I mean, if you're into like indie books and stuff, is Desert Island. It's in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, outside of Williamsburg, maybe about 6 blocks away. Gary will take care of you. He's kind of like the James of New York. He doesn't have he has some events, but he's definitely more indie press guy. But he does his own magazine. He has his own newspaper, weekly newspaper. But he pumps out a lot of indie guys.
Nice.
So
the last time I was in New York, when I lived in the East Coast, Times Square wasn't Disneyland. It was the place you got stabbed. So a little bit different. Haven't been there since they cleaned up the city.
Oh man,
so
it's so ridiculously clean. Like the only time I've really interacted with like some of the transients were really like in the subways. But man, what they did in New York to clean it up is just like, damn, why can't San Francisco get it?
You know what? I know so many people that love San Francisco, and San Francisco was one shitty, dirty place. It really needs to get scrubbed head to toe. That city is nasty.
Yeah, it's like the fucking Tenderloin like moved over like 7 blocks to the left and to the right, and up and down, because it's disgusting. Yeah, they
really need to fix it. Well, instead of bashing our lovely home city here, let's talk about some anniversary stuff. It would have been a week and a half ago, but we should have said something last week. I completely forgot. On March 28th, 2011, myself and Brock Sager recorded the first episode of the Comic Conspiracy podcast, so we're just over 3 years old. So happy birthday to us.
Congrats, guys.
Thank you.
Now, was that the first episode, the real first episode, or was that the fake first episode?
No, our fake first episode would have been the week prior, which, to the best of my knowledge, doesn't exist anymore. I think, is that the one I put up on YouTube? I put one up on YouTube that was just really terrible because the recording quality was so bad. I think that was like
the 40s. I think that was in the 40s.
Another month? I can't remember. Anyway. We got a couple questions here, a couple things to talk about, and then we're going to talk Cap. Those Walking Dead spoilers from last week, too, so a lot of spoiler talk this week, so be prepared. I'm going to start here with an email from Christopher. It says, he sold on Batman Eternal before Batman issue 28 came out. Batman Eternal is the new weekly series that DC is going to be putting out starting this week.
Yeah, I'm excited.
However, I'm not sold on DC's future's end, he continues. I know that a lot of really talented folk like Jeff Lemire, Keith Giffen, Brian Azzarello, Ethan Van Sciver, Eaton, I don't know who Eaton is, are getting together to create the best story they can, but I'm not convinced I should purchase a weekly title based around Batman Beyond, Grifter, Frankenstein, and Firestorm that presents a possible future that may or not matter in continuity. So my question is, can you sell me on Future's End, or should I skip it? Because of the September 3D issues, they're doing 3D covers, much like the way they did the Villains Month.
Yeah.
All the books of this September are going to be a Future's End 3D cover. And the related titles, I want to get into the idea if the question is, blah, blah, blah. So, Chris, the way I've been pitching Future's End to customers is this. If you don't read a bunch of DC books, you kind of just want this real small self-contained story, it's going to have the September crossovers, but I'm assuming you can skip those if you want. I believe Future's End is going to be pretty self-contained, pretty, not involved with too much. Much the way Earth 2 kind of is just its own book. That's how I'm looking at Future's End. Some people are really into that, some people aren't. If it helps, I'm ordering about 40% of Future's End as I am on Batman Eternal. Give you an idea of what I think the sales are going to be on that book.
Well, just to give a alternate perspective a little bit on it. So all I can really say is the track record DC has had with Batman Beyond since they brought it back with the miniseries and then launched the ongoing, it's actually been an extremely solid book with extremely solid stories. So assuming that they want to keep that brand as strong as possible, this could continue that and
they're
really
moving
good.
And they're moving Batman Beyond into the continuity at this point. So
Yeah.
which they teased kind of pre-New 52, but then took away. So
Yeah,
we're back with Batman Beyond actually counting. I mean, to me, try the first month. If you like it.
Well, I also like the fact that some of this in the Batwing comics started getting teased a little bit going towards the Batman Beyond suit and everything. So,
And they teased some of it in the Aquaman and the Outsiders,
Yeah.
number 1 from this week. So,
Yeah.
these are the type of books you kind of got to. They're not going to be a big major crossover involving every book. The way like a Civil War, like a Forever Evil type of book is. So, it's skippable if you're not into it, but. I think these books are always worth checking out.
This one's weekly, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's all year or just 26?
I believe all year. They haven't. I don't think they said otherwise. I assume they're yearly unless they say.
all I can really promise you is once it starts, I'm sure I will talk about it.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely we'll definitely get into it. Did I read this last week? I don't remember. It's from Kieran. He asks, "I'm a video game nerd who would love to get more into comic books. I was subscribed to Amazing Spider-Man for a while and enjoyed it, but I'm not interested anymore because of the Superior Spider-Man series, a personal favorite of at least a few of us here at the table. What series should I subscribe to now? Is there any that don't require too much prior knowledge to understand completely, and how can I catch up? Well, if you're ready for Amazing Spider-Man, just wait a couple weeks because he's coming back. Amazing Spider-Man number 1 is end of the month, I think, last week of the month.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, technically, Peter's back as
he's back
the
already.
Next issue. So.
Well, he's already back.
Well, yeah. At the end of this issue, they did the transition, so you could either pick up this issue to see how they transitioned back, or just pick up the next issue, since all you really need to know going into the next issue is Peter's back. So,
Yeah. But if you want something else, Omar is going to give you the lowdown, because Omar is become our indie guy, apparently. He's all up on the indie books. You're all up on the indie books these days, dude. Like, way more of the superhero stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I mix it up a lot more a little bit before Image Expo because I got excited and I want to kind of know who some of these people were that I didn't already know. But I don't know. I mean, for video games, actually, I'm going to push Guardians of the Galaxy because that has a lot of different kind of like fun shit that Bendis drops that's all connected to like nerd culture and everything. And the characters, you still throw in Iron Man, you still throw in some history there, not just these obscure characters. I mean, obviously Thanos is a big deal in that book, at least in the beginning of it.
Yeah.
But Guardians of the Galaxy, I mean, you really don't need to know anything. The person to my right will say Annihilation and all that kind of stuff, but you really don't need to. It makes it deeper and a richer experience if you kind of know some of the history. But
Sure.
I think Guardians of the Galaxy kind of started great, and obviously it's going to be super, super exciting when summer hits. So
for me, the first book that comes to mind is Five Ghosts, just because for some reason that really kind of hit akin to me in terms of video games. But to really answer this, I think we need to know what games he likes.
that's a good way to go. That's a good answer.
I mean,
Good question.
I would almost say Dead Body Road.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a good kind of place to start, at least with an independent title. A very fast paced, very gritty, it's interesting. I mean, they did a car chase in the last issue, which doing a car chase in a comic book is very difficult to do.
Sure.
But they pulled it off amazingly. So,
well, I don't know that it necessarily has to be anything video gamey-ish. It just sounds like he's asking, hey, something with not a lot of backstory. And if you're reading Amazing Spider-Man, that has the most backstory. Yeah. So the way Marvel and DC are pretty good at, Batman, I think, has done a really good job of making the books pretty accessible.
Well, what I'm wondering is, most of the time when you're sitting down to play a video game, you get a self-contained story that may get extended out a little bit with DLC or whatnot, but you kind of have this sort of finite story that gets a good resolution at the end, and then hopefully you'll get a sequel someday.
Well, I mean, you could also throw in those, the Batman Arkham City books. Those were really tied in very well, and Injustice ties in really
Injustice has been
with those video games. So,
and if you like Spider-Man, I've been pimping this for a while now. Marvel Knights Spider-Man. I think that's kind of in the same vein as Arkham Asylum, where it's a video game, but it feels that way when you're like reading it, because every book you face like 3 different enemies, and whether it's real or it's happening in someone's mind. Arcade's in the book. Read it. It's fucking great.
Good old Arcade. All right, got a few.
I think it might confuse somebody who doesn't know Spider-Man so well.
Yeah,
we got a few Twitter questions here.
Questions.
Let's see. This is from Stefano. He asks, any interesting insight concerning the March numbers, the March sales numbers for Mr. Higgins' Comic Market Corner?
Mr. Higgins' Comic Market Corner?
I actually was doing a little bit of research on this earlier. By a little, I mean very little. But there's a great
website and looked at it?
Yeah, there's a great site called Comicron, COMICHRON. This guy every month, for quite a while now, has actually taken the estimated sales and put them up for the top 300 books and try to get as close as you can to actual sales numbers. Obviously, they're estimates. But, there's been a decent amount of talk recently with, kind of how low the sales are here. But I actually pulled up March sales numbers going back to 2008. And, it's actually kind of always the same. There's a lot of people, it goes up and goes down, it goes up and goes down. But some of these months are just so overloaded. Yeah. So, like, the number one book of March 2014 was Batman, with an estimate copy of 116,000 copies sold. By the time you get down to number 10 at 10 at Uncanny X-Men, issue 19, it's 64,000 copies sold. And if you get on to 20, you're looking at Uncanny X-Men number 18, ironically enough, with 54,000 copies sold. Because 19 for Uncanny X-Men was the 19 point now, so there was a bunch of variants and specials, so that's why there's extra sales. I mean, if you go back to March 2013, I mean, oh my god. But you have to look at just how kind of fake some of these numbers are. Number one was Guardians of the Galaxy with 211,000 copies. So, I mean, twice Batman. But the Guardians of the Galaxy, like we're going to see very shortly with Amazing Spider-Man, number one had tons of variants, tons of incentives. Yeah. Age of Ultron, number one, had 174,000. Batman 18 had 137,000, and that's legitimate. Batman is sort of like, that's actually where you're starting these. Wolverine, number one, 117,000. Again, tons of variants, specials, and all that crap. By the time Wolverine ended, God, who even knows where it was? Way down. Superior Spider-Man, I guess Justice League, number 18, and then Superior Spider-Man at 6 and 8. It's Superior Spider-Man clips right under 100,000 copies. You get down to 20, though, Batman and Robin at 69,000 copies. You're not so far off. You head back to 2012, it kind of looks the same. You have Avengers vs. X-Men 0 and 1, Avengers Assemble 1, Justice League, Batman, Action Comics, Green Lantern, number 7, so you're still right in that first story arc or right at the end of the New 52 stuff. And then go down in March 2011. Number one was FF. Number one, the Hickman one, at 114,000. Number two was Green Lantern at 76,000. I mean, just huge plummets. By the time you get to number 20, with Venom number one is 53,000 copies. So, not to just throw a bunch of numbers here, but even go back to 2008, it's really, the numbers kind of are the same. You have like Dark Tower number one, Long Road Home. Let's try that again. On 123,000. By the time you get down to number 20, it's Countdown to Final Crisis of 67,000. Again, these numbers are all kind of the same. So, comics are fine. I bitch about sales sometimes, and some books' sales are awful. But for the most part, it feels like we're still sort of in the ballpark. I But the higher prices and the lower sale numbers kind of makes up for it. Marvel and DC are shipping, a lot of books these days. So, especially with those weeklies coming up. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Moon Knight number 1 at 58,000. I actually think that's low. Moon Knight did really well for us. But you can see where some of these are coming in, like Ghost Rider came in at 26 with 50,000 copies, and that blows my mind that they got 50,000 copy orders. By number 6, that book is going to be in the toilet. Not that I think it's a bad book necessarily. It's just
I didn't think it was bad.
It's just not. I mean, Iron Fist, Moon Knight I think is going to do good. Iron Fist is going to do well. Magneto, Loki, Ghost Rider, Black Widow to a degree. These books.
Oh, don't doom Black Widow! God damn it!
Well, let's see where it is already.
I like Black Widow.
It's already at number 78 with 27,000 sales for number 4. 3 spots above My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, which is 1 spot above She-Hulk, and there's a sad because She-Hulk is fantastic.
Yes,
although
yes,
She-Hulk is still 3 points ahead of New Warriors, which is number 85, number 2, and the second print of New Warriors, number 2, got canceled. So.
Damn them not giving you that second print variant cover.
If Marvel's canceling a second print, to be on the you're on the chopping block. So all right, New Warriors Volume 5 done at number 12. Calling it now. I'm getting ready for my bind. So
that's
see,
okay. I just
see if it lasts.
I agree with you. She-Hulk needs to keep going, and Black Widow needs to keep going.
She-Hulk really is fantastic,
yeah.
but
and Surfer needs to keep going.
Yeah, I need to read number 1.
Twitter questions.
This is from Necrotic Doctor on Twitter. He asked, as a new reader, why there's so much hate for the New 52? Totally clueless. I'm just reading Batman currently. We were just talking about a time when there was a lot of love for New 52. Look, about 2 years ago. Nowadays, though, it's tough for some people. I think some books are good. I think some books are crap. I think, specifically with a character like Superman, they flubbed the New 52 launch so bad. At least if it was the old version, it's Superman. You know him. Now the new ones kind of suck, and he's not the character you know, so hopefully Johns fixes that. For the most part, though, I personally think more DC books are better now than they were pre-New 52. You really need to go look at those books. Yeah. The 6 months before New 52 in 2011, it was bad times for DC. Very bad times. Yeah. I'm not saying it's great now, but those were bad times. That was the low bar.
Well, I'm starting to get a little wary of the books because I'm flipping through a $2.99 title and I'm getting a preview for another book in it. I'm like, I don't need a preview.
That's fine.
Well, it's like it's to me, it's kind of a waste because like when before the New 52, they were doing that all the time, and to me, it was kind of like, okay, I don't need a preview for.
Well, I think
the same thing over and over.
Preview doesn't. Well. It's because not everyone buys every book. I mean, the preview's there to get you to try new titles. Marvel's actually doing it, and we have a question here about this as well. They're putting full issues in their comics. So Inhuman number 1 is going to be in Amazing Spider-Man number 1, the entire first issue. And something just had Black Widow.
That was Superior.
Superior Spider-Man had Black Widow number 1. I think it's genius to do that way. I don't want to see it every book every month, but occasionally I think that's a great idea.
And in terms of the previews that are going in the DC, it's because they just had a major change up on the creative team on Detective, so they want to make sure people know to give this issue a shot because of the change.
I think it was just a little alarming when I was reading in this month, and I'm like, okay, Detective, yeah, I'm going to read it. Yeah, Detective, I'm going to read it. Yeah, Detective, I'm going to read it.
It does get repetitive if you're reading a lot of DC.
Bam, I read Detective, and I'm like, I just saw these first few pages.
I never look at it. I just open the preview and see ads.
Well, you're also like, what numbers are you on now?
But on the stuff that I do read currently, like I skip previews and stuff like that. Especially if I know I'm going to read it. I mean, I'll look at it once, but that's it.
And the way they do that stuff, I personally think it's just intended to be flipped through real quick to see if it's something that would interest you, not necessarily take the time to read it.
Yeah, because most people are buying a couple books. Mm-hmm. Most people are not buying.
I think they could at least take one page out of that and give us a recap.
I don't disagree, but DC has decided they don't want to recap pages, which I think is unfortunate. So, we got a few more questions here. And that's actually Stefano's question. He goes, what's up with Inhumans in Marvel? If it doesn't catch on with the backup in Spider-Man, what does Marvel do then? I think sales on Inhuman number 1 were okay, but I think it's just tough because I don't think anyone gives two craps about the Inhumans, as a general rule.
Well, I read...
Even with Joe Mad on it, no one cares?
Well,
So-
yeah, I was reading Inhumans #1, and it was okay, but I looked at it going, Joe Mad's art is all right, but he's going to be off the book by issue 3. So it's, to me, I'm not getting a kind of good grasp of the Inhumans.
Yeah, Joe Mad is not a selling point for a book anymore. Sorry, guys.
How long ago did Infinity end now?
Yeah, 6 months ago.
That's
4 months ago.
That's the only thing that's starting to throw me for a loop is a lot of these new character introductions, a lot of what I'm reading keeps getting hit with the Terrigen, whatever, mist. And it's like, it feels like that happened 6 months ago, yet every comic I'm reading.
And I'm sorry, Omar, but Infinity did nothing. I mean, it sold okay, but it did nothing. It changed nothing. The Inhuman book, I almost wonder if they're like, let's just retool the series as well and do something different with it, because nobody gave a crap once that book was done. Age of Ultron, I think, had a bit of a similar feel to it. Fear itself, definitely, because they literally retconned the events of their own book. But for certain books like AVX and Civil War, in House of M, so they're it seems like half and half. Half of them actually really affect things. Half of them, no one cares by the end. And I'm worried Original Sin is going to fall in that.
That's fine. 6 months ago, people cared because we got to see on a global scale the Avengers, people from the Shi'ar, people from the Skrulls, the Kree, like all the Marvel Galactic pieces, along with X-Men and everybody fighting in a global scale in space, which we can also kind of like look in the future and say, hey, that's what Avengers is going to probably look like on the big screen in the next, after Age of Ultron comes out. And so for me, that's what I was watching and I was like seeing, no different from people that have actually read the book of Game of Thrones and has watched the premiere recently and seeing like, oh, this is the direction they're going. So it's great to get that source material out there for the illustrators and the artists that are a part of the movies with the Marvel, universe, with Marvel Studios, that they got down to the T, which we've all experienced this last week. So for me, I don't know. I can't piss all over that shit because it was incredible to me.
I don't see them taking Avengers World and making that the movies.
Definitely not.
No.
No. I'm not talking about. I didn't bring up Avengers World once. What I brought up was the Kree, the Skrull, Galactic Guardian, Guardians of the Galaxy, and just bringing the spaciness of Marvel into the forefront with Avengers.
The problem with the Guardian stuff that tied into that is that right after. Sorry to cut you off, Charlie. The Infinity stuff, it's Guardians went into... So, we're teaming up with the Shi'ar and all this stuff and doing all this. But, like, 2 issues later in Guardians, the Shi'ar's kidnapping, Jean Grey and now putting her on trial, and there's we didn't get along at all. It's like nothing from Infinity happened.
But that's just the way it goes. It's kind of like you're reacting to what is the big... crisis on hand, and then you move on to the next. So I think it was a big deal that they, especially since they tied together the X-Men and Guardians of the Galaxy, that they're trying to push those together. The only way to keep something like Guardians of the Galaxy relevant, besides of course having Bendis and who else is on the book right now? Pacelli's dope. Is with story with people connect. You have to have Avengers or X-Men tied to anything Marvel related that is like a B or C or D list character.
Absolutely.
The only gripe I have with Infinity is it feels like a lot of the stuff that we're seeing right now was really intended to come out right after it, not 6 months after it. And it feels like even when I was reading the Hulk book recently, and they're still dealing with the same cloud that every other book is dealing with 6 months later is...
No, it's weird to me that because I read about this Terrigen Mist cloud that's like going around the globe and stuff like that in Inhumans 1, and I'm like, it's a really slow moving fart. Apparently,
a slow moving fart is all that's needed if you've been crop dusted correctly.
And on that note, Marco, this is the last question because we have a lot talked about tonight. There's some good questions here, so maybe we'll save some of these for next week. But Marco has a question we got to look at. For each panel member, it's May 6th, 2016, and you can only watch one movie, Captain America 3 or Superman Batman. What's your pick?
Cap 3.
Omar's thinking.
I'm going to watch Cap 3, but if it's only one or the other, and I can only pick one ticket, I'm going to watch the DC movie just because I want to see them do well. But, of course, I'm the biggest basher of that because I just don't see it happening.
Just go with Cap 3. I mean, that's
I mean, from reading,
I want it to succeed, but I can't.
Yeah,
I can't in good conscience.
I mean, with Kevin Feige, like on every fucking movie website in the last like fucking 64 hours, like just like jerking off and just like not saying DC's name once. It's just, it's really sad. I feel bad. I feel bad for all of my friends at Warner Brothers.
Charlie.
Superman, Batman.
Yeah, for me, it's not a question. Superman, Batman. I'm super excited for Cap 3.
No,
but Superman, Batman.
If movie theaters are intelligent, they'll give you a double feature option.
A marathon.
A marathon. That, dude, they need to do that. They'd be like, come, get your double marathon. You can watch Cap and Boom.
I would so be down. I would, yeah, absolutely. Sure. Sure.
Like, done.
No
like,
question.
Sold.
Yeah.
Like, $30. I don't care.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But, yeah.
AMC, get on that shit.
Superman, Batman needs to be amazing. It needs to. like, it has to. There's no way it can't.
That's
There's
like the
no
desperate
way.
cry for
This
help.
is what I want. If it's shitty, I just want.
If it's shitty, it's over.
I want Warner Brothers to sell the rights of DC Comics to Marvel. If not Marvel to I'm sorry, Disney. Because Disney, it all starts with Disney. All of this greatness hasn't happened since it started with Disney.
Well, no. It started with Marvel. Marvel made Iron Man and Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel started it. Mm-hmm. But Disney.
But if you follow the money trail,
But then Disney allows them to have 3 movies a year now.
Yeah.
Like, I
Disney
don't.
allowed them to ramp up, but they already had a ton in production before the Disney.
Yeah. I can't even. If Superman Batman isn't good, I don't even. It's over. It's done.
Not for TV.
Right? No, for movies, it's done. Just kill it. I mean,
they're not
Man
going
of Steel,
to. Though.
Man of Steel did well. It didn't do Avengers. It didn't do Iron Man 3, but Man of Steel did very well. I think it passed 700 million worldwide domestic. That is really good. But Superman Batman needs to be that Avengers,
Yeah, and I'm watching Game of Thrones, at a little Game of Thrones party, like, with a bunch of my friends. We had like themed foods and everything. And before Game of Thrones was Man of Steel, and I guess this weekend was like the big release on cable or whatever.
Yeah.
And everyone was telling me how, they, recorded it or they started watching it and they just slept through it. So it's a damn shame.
Womp womp. Man of Steel. What did Man of Steel lifetime? Oh, so 668 total. That's pretty damn respectable. So,
See, to me, yes, the box office was good for Man of Steel, but the merchandising around that movie just, Warner Brothers is
merchandising.
Exactly. They've made plenty of money off of making that movie.
Yeah, I mean, Cap's already made $300 million, so it'll get. I mean, Cap 2 won't beat Man of Steel. I mean, Cap will top out at 4 to 5 something, just because. I mean, it's already open internationally, made 200 international and 95 here in a week. It'll still do another 100,000 here, but
I don't know. I'm going again. People I know have gone twice already.
yeah, sure. I know people that have gone a couple times. Our good friend Jim has already seen it 3 times. He's over in Taiwan. But yeah, I mean, Captain America is a tough sell outside the U.S. Superman a little easier sell. Superman, Batman, definitely big money.
Yeah, but they have such smart global partners and having certain sequences where I'm sure you guys may have read like on Yahoo News where you look at Steve Rogers' little list of things to catch up on through the last few decades, and in I think not every country, but in most countries, there's a different list that's kind of specific to the country, and I think that's just so fucking smart.
Right. Well, we could talk about Walking Dead or Cap. You guys want to talk Walking Dead first?
Or
yeah,
we should talk. I mean, if we're
start with Walking Dead.
It's not one or the other. It's which one do you want to do first?
Yeah,
gosh.
Let's start with Walking Dead first.
Where's Game of Thrones fit into this?
We can talk about Game of Thrones if you want.
Cool.
Well, we're going to be all spoilers here going forward, guys.
Yeah.
It's going to be the TV movie conspiracy going forward. So, check out here if you want. Fast forward to the last 2 minutes to hear me ramble about where you should follow us on Twitter and all that.
Or shut us off and watch these things and then turn us back on.
Yeah. Or you could do that as well. But I will start with the Walking Dead finale.
Why not?
So, Walking Dead finale was pretty damn good.
Oh, man.
Now, I know Toby talked about it briefly last week, trying not to be too spoilery about it, and we'll hear about him. Him and Bryce probably hopefully next week, when because Toby's coming down. He's coming back, but then he's going straight to WonderCon, so who knows how he's going to be next week. We'll see. But yeah, I am very, very excited for what they're going to do with Walking Dead going forward here. Now, this whole what is it? The
Terminus.
Terminus. That's not from the comic because we're at now.
They've expanded a story arc from the comic and renamed it and all that.
Right.
So,
Now,
they've given it more of a central location.
Yeah, we're now past where I've read in the comics, so I haven't kept up on it through the years. So
we can spoil the shit out of this thing.
Well, obviously the TV show is
So where are you in the comic then?
just about after the prison. So kind of in that arc. Was that volume 8 maybe?
the-
I think I basically read through like the first omnibus. So the first like 8
I think
trades.
it's 2 more trades after is when the Terminus-esque stuff happens in the trades.
But yeah,
Yes, those were human remains.
yes, I assume we are coming up on a pack of cannibals here, led by I almost call her Deanna Troy, not Deanna Troy.
No,
What the hell's her name? Jesus Christ. Tasha Yar.
Yeah,
Led by,
Tasha Yar.
not like maybe not. Yeah,
Crosby?
Denise Crosby. Maybe
Yeah.
not led by Tasha Yar, but she's the cook. So
Yeah.
Tasha, is this the Tasha from the alternate reality where she's now half Romulan, where it's her kid?
Yes.
Terrible.
Great stories of actresses leaving a show and then coming back.
But no, back the thing is I really appreciated the in the last episode how what Rick describes for setting the trap for small game, right, is the same exact trap that's being set for them from Terminus. The tracks are the same as that little brush trail and stuff like that, and then you corral them, guide them where you want to go, and then pull the noose over them. So
Yeah, I'm surprised Rick didn't catch that.
Irony.
well, he gets the small game ones, not necessarily the
Well,
big
no,
ones.
it's just the second all this shit started going down, it became completely obvious with the way they were closing doors and all that. Like, they were completely hurting them in a direction, and they never went, maybe we should stay here and just put our backs to this wall and prepare.
Yeah.
So the last line he says is directly from the comic in that episode. What is the situation in the comic at that point? Do you remember? Because I saw a couple of panels that was directly from the comic. So was that when they're fighting the cannibals, or is that
No.
In the comic they come across this group
Well,
and then
don't the group abduct Dale in the comic?
Yeah, somebody gets
Yeah.
abducted, but they come across a group and somebody gets abducted, and so they're going after him, and then
Well, no, they give him back.
didn't they eat something of his?
They cut off his foot.
Yeah,
He
that's it.
laughs his ass off because he had already been bitten by a walker. And then they give him back to try and freak out the Rick's group, and it doesn't quite work out that way.
Yeah.
But yes.
Isn't it funny how when you read the book, like a while ago, and I read I think both compendiums, and some of the imagery when you're watching the show in your mind, it kind of comes together sometimes.
And then all of a sudden you have that snap crackle.
Yeah.
I remember this shit.
Yeah.
Well, the 2 girls, that stuff's not from the comic, right? The episode with the
No.
2 of them, with the 2 girls, where the one kills the,
two
other
sisters.
one.
No.
That was
No.
incredible.
Yes. The
Oh, that
little
is?
girl killed the other little girl, which is why
one?
they locked her up in the van, which in the comic book, Carl kills her.
Okay.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Well,
Again, all this shit
Charlie,
happened a
your
long time
brain
ago.
remembering stuff is a lot bigger than the rest of ours, and that's 2 compendiums worth of shit. That's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
I just love just all the high moments of if we're talking about just the finale,
Well, just like the last few episodes of that had so many high moments.
yeah. I mean, it was like a slow burn. People were like, "Who the fuck is this Gimple guy? I don't want to watch no fucking lovey touchy feely, flipping off the fucking burning trailer trash home and trying to tear away your past because your past doesn't make who
That's a
you
good
are."
episode.
That was a great
No, I'm
episode.
saying that was a great episode and all, but you knew that some shit was going to go down, and some shit went down. Fucking Activia, fucking killed some kids, and fucking we got Rick. Rick redeemed himself because he's been a little bitch fucking for a while, and he's went from Farmer John to fucking zombie mode.
Well, that's the whole point. At
Yeah.
the end, where it's flashing back to him being a farmer, and then it's going forward, and he's like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna have to kill all these."
Yeah, that was just
I just
epic.
loved how he
Yeah.
gutted that guy.
Yeah.
That was. Oh.
Daryl, here's
That's also right from the
oh
comic.
yeah, he was straight penetrating them, like how it. At least the imagery it looked like that dude was trying to fucking butt rape his son.
Directly from the comics.
Yeah.
That was brutal.
It was nuts seeing all that on TV too.
Yeah.
Lori was like, "What's happening?" And I was like, "Babe, earmuffs.
I had
Go to your happy place.
yesterday. I saw the Raid 2 in theaters.
Good man.
Which is not as good as the first one, but the action is just ridiculous in this. And watching a few of them, I was like, oh man, people love just gutting other people. Yeah, geez, just people getting cut up left and right.
Yeah, our threshold is definitely a different place ever since those Saw series came out.
Man, you know what? There's a couple times in the Raid 2. I mean, this is not horror. I mean, it's an action movie, but it is gory as hell. And there were parts in the theater where the entire audience was like, oh. I was doing it on a pretty regular basis because there's a lot of scenes in that movie where people are just getting fucked up.
Yeah, if you want to screw with Ryan Higgins, put on a surgery video.
Oh, I can't deal with that at all.
He freaks out.
That's horrible. But if you've seen the Raid 2, I'm just going to say the baseball bat. That's all you need to know.
Lucille?
When he lets that baseball bat go, the entire audience was like, oh, it's rough. Yeah, it's a rough movie. Great movie, though. Go see it. Raid 2. Not playing anywhere near anyone because it's the Raid. But go watch it on Blu-ray when it comes out in a few weeks. That movie. Did you see the first one?
Definitely. I watched the first one at the International Film Festival where the director was also there, too.
Oh, really?
And it was pretty much the same
It's a white guy, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was pretty much the same thing like that you're explaining where it's like the whole crowd, it was just like, ooh, it was like the most exciting hockey game ever.
You can't not do it, though, because it's so brutal.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that movie is so
There was a
brutal.
few men and women that were running away from the theater.
Oh, really?
Mid with all the blood and guts, like during the hallway scenes, the fighting.
Oh, yeah. There was like a couple that left like right when the movie started, but I was like, nothing's really happened. I don't know why they're leaving, but
they had an emergency at home.
Maybe, possibly. But oh man, the Raid's so good. But anyway, Walking Dead is gory as hell, and I can't believe that's actually just on regular TV. They must be
cable TV,
but still,
Well, no, they push the envelope with what they
be.
do in that show. I mean, all of us who've read the comic know, Judith's character was supposed to die, and how she dies in the comic book is there's no way you can show that.
She gets shot, right? I mean, doesn't
she gets shot through. What's
the wife?
Mom? I forgot her name. But she gets shot through, and you can't show that on TV, regular TV or cable. It's not a. I think the FCC says no.
Well, just like I felt that's why they changed things up with the little girls a little bit, because I think, again, people would have been upset if Carl took the little girl out back.
I don't know that it's any different, though. It's kind of the same.
I think it's one of those things where,
because Carl fucks up that guy, too, doesn't he? So I guess it's a kid-on guy.
It's one of those things where Kirkman's even said it. There's things that he regrets doing and things that he wish he had done differently.
Yeah.
And this kind of gives the show a little bit more breathing room, and like with his notes and stuff like that, they can expand more and go in a different direction and say, well, this character can do this instead of having this character do it, because the relationship Carol had with those two girls was a lot deeper and richer than Carl's relationship. But in the comic book, I think Kirkman at the time was focusing on Carl's change.
Well, it was the Carl's becoming, in some ways, just as scary kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was one of those sort of snapping points for Rick to realize that his son is suddenly prepared to do things in this world that the adults weren't willing to do.
Yeah, Carl's looking vicious in some of those shots. So,
as he should, as any kid would that has decided to be a survivor.
Yeah.
They're all monsters. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, little monsters.
So October, I'm assuming? That's when we've got pretty much every season started in October.
I would assume they're not going to break the Halloween pattern.
Cannot wait.
Yeah, so we end with Walking Dead, but like a week and a half, 2 weeks later, we get Game of Thrones.
Oh my god!
So your Sunday night fills up again.
Good.
Well, Charlie hasn't watched it yet, so we won't talk too. This honestly, with this Game of Thrones premiere, there's not a ton to really spoil. Like, there's no Brock. You don't get to say a word because you've read all the books. I don't want to hear it.
read all the books too.
Have you read all the books?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, both of you shut up then.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I think
about
that
the show, not
the
the
good
book.
thing. No, I think the great thing about like the whole community that have read the books and are watching the show, for the most part, people don't like spill shit out and don't leak shit.
Yeah.
And I think because they're respective to what we may see, because obviously, I think from the beginning we're seeing major changes from the book and departure from the book, and I think that. Even was it DB Weiss and the showrunners and George R. R. Martin said, the season 4 will be different. They're going to be kind of taking that same path. Not to say that they are taking the same path of Walking Dead, but I think it'll be the same experience for people that have read the books and people that are watching the show. I mean, I don't recall from the books that fucking Greyjoy's Theon's sister went to go fucking help him. I don't think that even happened.
No,
in the books.
she goes.
She goes to do something
She
else.
she goes to do something else, but she does go look for him at one point in the books. It's just later. It's not.
Yeah, but it's
later
not
on.
as like a hero. Like I'm going to help my little brother. Shit. Like so that already changes shit.
What you're talking about is with Walking Dead and Game of Thrones. I mean, the source material is so amazing, and the shows themselves are so amazing. Not necessarily because they're doing it, page by page or panel by panel, but they're keeping the essence of what is core to the source material. In that, I don't need to watch Game of Thrones, as it comes out because I've read the books. But it's nice to know that like they're keeping pace and people are excited and people want to be watching the show.
Beforehand, I watched the finale from last year, so not the Red Wedding, but the episode after.
Yeah,
just
Misa.
Yeah, just to sort of keep up and remember where everyone left off.
Sure.
Because again, this kind of starts you off and kind of just does it's a similar episode as the finale because it kind of shows you where everyone is again that things have changed. And there was a like a behind the scenes commentary track and like a video commentary track with George R. R. Martin and some of the guys about the Red Wedding episode on that disc as well, where they were discussing. Martin was discussing how they changed the Red Wedding episode. He's like, he took the darkest thing I've ever written and will ever write and made it darker. in the show.
I was pissed. I was pissed.
Oh, were you really?
Fuck yeah, because they didn't kill what's her name. They didn't kill Rob's wife.
But
like
she's
that.
even a different character in the book.
Yeah.
So it's like they're very they're going in different directions. The motivations and where they end up may be sort of the same, but there are very big differences in these episodes.
Well, I think what's great about stuff like The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones on this is the big events still happen. You can still, the way they get there may change and whatnot, but there's always those things that you're like, oh my God, I love this about this book or this comic or whatnot.
Yeah.
And you're still going to get to see that on the screen.
And it's not necessarily something that's a season finale or something like The Red Wedding was a second to last episode.
Well, all the episode 9s have been brutal.
Yeah.
But I mean, Omar and I were talking about this. Is like season 3 to season 4. It's almost like it's not even a full season break. It's kind of we're mid season at this point. Like.
Well, it's two halves of a book.
Yeah,
so,
but they're still keeping that feeling going in the show that if you're on the third book, you're only halfway there.
Right.
So
I mean, the only I would say big part of this episode, and Charlie, you may or may not want to tune out here for a second, but is what's her face getting her sword back? I seriously need a sheet here with character faces and names. Thank
Arya
you.
getting Needle.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
But wasn't it like a bookend because it opened with the Valyrian steel from the Stark house, and it ended with the Valyrian steel from the Stark house.
Right. So that was a great.
Yeah.
Again, I saw the raid. I saw that. Like I saw The Walking Dead.
I'm so proud of you.
Like, good Lord, I've
That's
seen
like
so many
overload.
I've seen so much blood in the last few weeks. God.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was brutal.
No,
and she's.
Gangster.
I mean, there's so many. I mean, there's still 2 books left that haven't been written. If this doesn't end with her being some like fucking Xena warrior princess chick just out there killing fools left and right by the end of these books, I don't know what the hell is going on because her and Carl need to get together or something because they're both.
Yeah, Carl is a pussy. Carl has got nothing on Arya.
I think you just wait. I think Carl's gonna. I think they're both. I mean, they're both just fucking badass kids. They're just fucking. They're both destroying it right now.
No, you would. I think your girlfriend Ryan had mentioned that they changed actors on one of the characters.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name, but
Dario, one of the main.
It was the blonde
sergeant.
guy from the last one, right?
Yeah, and then it became some dude that looks like he's from Spartacus or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
dark-haired guy, but it's not a big deal.
No,
I don't think it's. I mean, it's always great to have actors come forward, just like how we have. What's that kid's name that did Bucky, and he's also Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
like, that's beautiful when you can do that.
We'll hit up on Game of Thrones from time to time because it's such a cultural milestone in TV right now. I mean, I'll talk about it from time to time.
I mean, at work, I hear people talk. I was hearing people talk about it today. It's Walking Dead, Game of Thrones. There's only a handful of movies that still hold water cooler resonance.
Yeah, well, then
within our
the
society.
top three points that were trending on Twitter before I came here for most of the day has been the NCAA championship, Game of Thrones, and comic book movies for hashtags on Twitter. So, and that's pretty much kind of all the shit that we talk about, minus NCAA, which I am surprised I'm actually here, sitting with you young chaps, when I should be watching fucking UConn smash on Kentucky right now.
Well, we'll get you out of here soon. Why don't you talk about some Captain America?
Captain America. Wait, before we move on to Captain America, we just give some light to the Martells, because we just got to say a little bit of light. I know, we don't want to, it's not spoilerific or whatever, but it's just another family that's a big part of it. But in Westeros, you don't have the Targaryens. No one knows really about the Targaryens. They know about this one person that's out there, but you're seeing like another missing link in a chain, a family that was, for the most part, kind of like, ambiguous, but they were tied to the Targaryens, and then all their fucking bloodline was like fucking destroyed by, Tywin. Like, fucking, I just loved it. I loved seeing.
This is the new guy, right?
Yeah,
the new kind of main guy in the show.
Yeah.
He was pretty great.
Yeah.
Which one is this? Is it the
Oberyn Martell?
Oh, the
Red Viper.
The Red Viper, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. The Red Viper,
cool,
and he fucking comes in. Now. He's like, this is. I loved all the fucking. Of course, Tyrion. He always kills it, but he's like, where else are you gonna find a prince that's fucked half of Westeros? Go by Littlefinger's place, and then exit cutscene into fucking the whorehouses. Oh, I was so happy. I was just so happy to be back in Littlefinger's whorehouse.
No, that guy's great. Yeah, I'm curious to see where they're gonna go with that guy. So, Brock, don't even stop your talk.
I know he's just smiling on his face, but in the back of the face,
I could ruin Ryan Higgins' existence.
You ever been open hand slapped by a man before?
No, because I do the open hand slapping.
You will. Let's talk about some Captain America.
Captain.
So, I like to play this game occasionally where it's called Rank the Marvel Movies.
Rank the Marvel. God damn it.
Okay.
How many of us actually like this game?
Who doesn't love putting items in numbered order?
Everyone loves power rankings.
Who doesn't? So, you have your A.
We're almost to the point where I need a list in front of me. So
yeah.
You have your A, your B, your C, your D, your A pluses. However you want to do this. Where's Cap fall? Where's Cap 2 fall? And what kind of give me the movies it is as good as giving what's your number one? Is Avengers still number one for a few? I know. It is
are we
for
just
me.
Doing Marvel movies?
Just the Marvel cinematic stuff because we have 9 of them at this point, right? Is there 9?
Well, there's 3 Iron Man, 2 Cap, 2.
Yeah, Kevin Feige has been saying
Thor.
9.
Thor and Avengers, 9.
No, you have to count the second Hulk.
Yeah,
but that's it's not. Is that not it? Iron Man 1, 2, 3, Thor 1 and 2, Cap 1 and 2, Hulk, Avengers.
Yeah,
so 9. Okay, all right, we're good.
Are we still is Cap?
Okay,
Avengers is still now my number 1.
Okay,
Avengers is still number 1.
Where's Cap 2 fall on your list? And then we'll talk about it because I know where it is for me.
Well, you're the one that brought up this stupid
I know.
game.
I want to know where everyone else is. Well, I'll tell you I'll tell you where mine is while we wait for everyone else.
Chuck is about to spit it out.
You got it?
I think it's my number 3. Actually,
that's not a bad spot for it.
Yeah.
I don't think.
What's your number 2?
I think Iron Man 1 right now is my number 2, and then Thor 2's right after Cap for me.
We have a very similar list.
Yeah, I think all of our lists are going to be pretty similar. Yeah. Number 1 for me is still Iron Man, just because it's fucking AC/DC, fucking robot guy. It's like the closest thing to Ultraman I've ever seen in America on fucking live action. Number 2. Fucking still love the shit out of Thor 2, and then Winter Soldier.
And just to specify, to me, it's not Captain America 2, it's just the Winter Soldier movie.
Sure.
I mean,
it should be S.H.I.E.L.D. of the Winter Soldier.
I don't know, man. It should be Black Widow and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Dude, she fucking stole the screen, yo. She was incredible.
There were a couple of scenes where I'm like, it just felt like she was tacked on a little bit, where I actually think it would have played out a little bit better without her.
There was a couple times where I was like, remember Captain America was in this movie?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of time he wasn't.
Basically, when he went to the bunker and all that, I don't know. I kind of understood why Black Widow was there, but I don't think she really gave anything to the scenes with Zola and everything.
I don't know. I think the big thing was...
We'll talk about
Zola. Dude, that's so like quirky, fucking mad Captain America old school shit.
Let's finish the list, and we'll do heroes and then villains. Nice sorted way to talk about this episode, because good lord, is there a lot of stuff to say about
Yeah,
the
it
movies.
is.
Brock,
I would have to say,
where's this fall on your list at this point?
I'd probably have to say Avengers is on the top. And then it probably be for number 2 would be a tie between Cap or Winter Soldier and Iron Man.
Okay.
Because, it's the first Cap wasn't as good as Iron Man, but it was still a good, solid movie.
Yeah.
And the Thor movies, to me, have been just consistently good. So, like, it's kind of hard to label them. I mean, down at the bottom of the barrel is obviously Iron Man 3.
I agree.
Which, it's sad when Incredible Hulk beats out Iron Man 3. But
I have like a
Hey, Incredible Hulk was awesome.
I have like a 9 to 10 ranking on the Marvel movies for the most part. So, that A+ rank is still Avengers. I mean, Avengers 2 is going to be the only thing that beats that because Avengers is almost pure perfect in comic book movie form for me. That A rank though, it's Iron Man 1, Cap 2, and Thor 2. Cap 2 was crushed. Again, no real particular order there. Just man, Captain America, Winter Soldier was amazing. And I mean, I was so blown away by Thor 2. Like, I liked it way more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, for sure. But I think a lot of people, they were surprised. They went to go watch it, and they weren't expecting it to be as good as the first one, let alone fucking how much better it was.
And I really like Captain America 1, but this is just on a whole other level.
Yeah.
And then, kind of the rest of the stuff below it in various forms.
Well,
but
I think that, like, the Cap movies have worked and the Thor movies have worked is because they've built very well on themselves and very well kind of being their own movies in a sense. Whereas, like, Iron Man, was really great, and 2 was kind of building on that, but it wasn't. It didn't go the distance. Like, it's like, oh, the thing in his chest is killing him, not going and addressing, like alcoholism or any harder issues than that. And then the third one is like, oh, he has post traumatic stress, and from Avengers, and you're kind of just like, it. Whereas Thor, it's like you have solid.
I felt Thor and Cap kind of just were awesome movies and didn't worry about a message almost. I mean, I guess there was some, in Cap 2. I mean, there is sort of the Edward Snowden kind of information be free sort of deal, but
no, I think more so than that, it was just trust, the basis of trust.
Yeah, sure, but it didn't.
And
Iron Man 2 and 3, especially 3, felt way more kind of overbearing on their message, where Cap 2 was just sort of like, Cap's always fought against, Cap has fought against the government as much as he's fought for the government in the comic books. I mean, this is a very regular thing where he's like, no, the government's being stupid. Fuck you. I'm not going to be on your side.
Yeah.
You should be the best.
Well,
and you're not.
It's what he was talking about. It's like, I don't know what's right. In the movie. He's like, I don't know what's right when he goes to talk to Peggy.
Yeah.
And,
that was actually a outtake from Avengers that got put into Cap 2, from what I understand.
Well, the thing is I thought that was a great scene because you're sitting there and she's having this conversation and then she turns.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, and just the devastation. Like, it's this guy's been asleep for 70 years.
Alzheimer's is no joke.
And then you just put that last nail in the coffin where it's like, and it's not that nobody cares, but nobody cares.
So let's talk about some of the good guys in this movie. I have 2 favorite characters in this movie. First is Sam Jackson as Nick Fury. Holy crap, that car chase.
He was so badass.
That was incredible.
Oh, man.
That goes down as one of the best car chase scenes I've seen in a movie in recent years.
For sure. That is up there with fucking, I think, Matrix 2. With fucking...
With the trucks?
Yes.
You know what? People shit on the Matrix 2, and I'm like, dude, I don't care.
Some of the most incredible fucking action sequences ever.
I don't care if the rest of that movie doesn't exist. That truck scene in Matrix 2 is just mind-blowing.
They built a highway to film that.
Yeah. In Winter Soldier, when he busts out the window with that gun, that was like just insane.
I think the best part of that scene was he was sitting there pissed, like he has this external thing, these guys trying to kill him, and yet he has to deal with a stupid computer voice. Right?
I love
and
that.
it's just
That was so funny.
and he's like, oh
man, those windows took a beating.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, how many times is that like a ram gonna hit that car? Man, those I want those windows. Like I want those windows here. Some idiot kid tries to throw a rock through our window and
to get a pack of magic
deflects
cards.
back and just smashes him in the face.
Yeah, I was like, my armpits were wet during that whole fucking scene. It was fucking riveting. It was nuts. I was blown away by like how all the Hydra cops or Shield or whoever it was.
Yeah.
There wasn't many other. It was like all white cops. That the casting there, I was like, that feels a little.
It's Hydra. Of
Sure.
course, they're all white.
Hydra,
they're all Nazis.
They're all Nazis.
Yeah, sure. But still, there's some people of color. They throw in their like token black dude or whatever.
So I'll tell you who, or should I say what, my second favorite hero of this movie was, and that was Captain America's shield. They didn't fuck around with Cap's shield in this movie. Way more than the first one. That's as good as the comics.
Well,
his shield is bouncing around and doing all sorts of crazy crap.
That's the thing
that was so good.
In this film,
more than Avengers, more than Cap 1.
In this film, he's used it. I mean, he's in Cap 1. He was just starting out, right. So I mean, this is new for him. This is not it's the setup. And then Avengers, that's where he's woken up. He's been using it a little bit more, but he's not skilled in it. He has that thing down, and it was amazing.
I think that's a fucking great answer, Cap Shield, because it goes back into the martial arts. Dude, the fight choreography was fucking bananas. It was like you saw Krav Maga in there, you saw Eskrima, you saw Kali. Pretty much, if you had two fighting sticks, it's like Nightwing, fucking the way he throws around batons, or Daredevil. Insert other fucking weapon of a nice fucking hero. The fight sequence between Batroc and Captain with all the melee like fucking Krav Maga, and it was cool to see Black Widow. I mean, she definitely was ill as she was as Avengers, but man, Cap, all the fight sequences were just mind-blowing, mind-numbing, and I'm so glad I actually went. I told you I watched it today in IMAX, and though it was big, just the sound and just like seeing things like close up, seeing the arm grabs, and then also getting into some fucking MMA, some BJJ, like fucking choking out fucking Winter Soldier. Oh, that was dope.
Now, when it comes to the villains, I've said one thing since Spider-Man #1.
Oh wait, before heroes, we got to also give shine to fucking Anthony Mackie, because his acting chops as Falcon. Tupac as a superhero. Yes, I'm with it. He played Tupac in Broadway, and he played Tupac in Notorious, and he was in other movies like I guess Hurt Locker. He was in some shit, whatever. But this movie, man, I feel like. No different from Iron Man, where you had that one dude that didn't come back and play Rhodey. Anyways, just to have the acting just was as equal as the acting, as the action scenes. Definitely, again, Scarlett Johansson, she definitely got her shine. If she's going to be a complainer and say, "Oh shit, I need my FaceTime," I think
she was in half the movie.
Charlie was saying, I felt like it was a Black Widow film. It wasn't even Captain America, and
my fear in Iron Man and Cap as well was having this sort of black sidekick, and to me, both movies have done such a good job of not having it come off that way. Falcon was as good in this movie as Cap was. He never came off sidekicky. He came off as integral to the plot, and Black Widow too, for the most part. They came off as integral to the plot as everyone else involved. And in Falcon, the scenes with him were so good.
Like I really enjoyed all the Falcon stuff. I think for me, I was a little let down in the sense of, I know there's a limited amount of time in movies, but the relationship between Steve and what's his name again? Falcon is Sam, right?
Yeah.
So, but the relationship between Steve and Sam, it was great with the bookends on your left.
Yeah, that was really fun.
That was great at the beginning and at the end of the film, but their relationship development was forced a little bit for me. It was like, hold on. It was a little fast.
Okay.
And that's the thing is I would have preferred to have seen a little bit more of Sam's backstory in the sense of he talks about being back in Afghanistan or whatever in his tours and stuff. I would have just liked to have seen a little bit more of his backstory, because because we've seen Caps, right? We've seen all of Caps with the first movie. With Sam, we didn't get that little bit of extra kind of, unless you watch the Hurt Locker, I guess.
Yeah.
But we didn't get that that resonance that we had from Cap's backstory.
He goes to the VA. I mean, he sees him talking. I think
but you don't get that. It's there's a connection between veterans. Yes, that the untold thing. But the thing is, as an audience member,
okay.
This is movie to TV difference. I think is the problem. You have to, it's accelerated.
Yeah, and not only that is accelerated. I felt the whole point of, and I think we talked about Captain America being isolated. He's a man out of time.
Yeah.
The fucking his best friend is like some old lady that he can have a conversation with, and shit will flip. Like his fucking one love, That kind of went to showing how isolated Cap is. He can't trust anybody. He fucking goes back to this fucking, his friend that started S.H.I.E.L.D. And then, it's kind of like you rely on people. He didn't know if he could fucking rely on Black Widow. He didn't know if he can rely on, Nick Fury. He didn't really trust anybody. And then, so he went out there and he went to the one person that he felt like he could. I felt it wasn't necessary because he really had no place to turn.
Well, that, and I think it represented somebody who wasn't looking for something from him, because his interactions with everybody else, they wanted something. Either Nick Fury wanted him working with S.H.I.E.L.D., Black Widow was sort of handling him. The Sam and the way they kind of approached that was like the one person he could sort of shoot straight with and not...
No, but Sam wanted him to come, talk to him so he could get props from some chick.
That was fun and games. That was fun and games.
So I appreciated the way they forged that. And yes, I admit the relationship was fast, but given the constraints, I thought they did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
And the actors, just again, pure
there's a great
drama
chemistry between the two of them.
Yeah. And the way everyone played off each other.
Yeah.
You didn't need like a lot of the fight. I mean, obviously the fight scenes were fucking bananas, and the CG was phenomenal. The scene where Cap goes in the elevator, I felt like that was some shit out of like the Phantom Menace, like seeing all the fucking artwork and imagery, and but it was real. I mean, you knew that it was CG, but you just see the whole landscape of fucking New York, and I was just coming back. I was like, oh, this is beautiful.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to the villains, from basically every movie post Spider-Man 1, I've said the same thing. You need to open up your movie fighting a kind of random bad guy, and really, I think Dark Knight's the only one that did it with Scarecrow. Like, no movie ever does this. Captain America did it.
Yeah, they did.
He fights Batroc, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
It starts with a big action scene.
Sure.
That's exactly what the comics are like. More movies need to do this.
Yeah.
It's perfect, and that was awesome. The whole opening sequence is great.
Well, from what I hear, Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the Rhino is supposed to be that.
Cool.
Yeah, sure.
Got something going for it.
No, and not only that, too. Oh, jumping on that really quick. Sorry for interrupting. Dude, Brock Rumlow, dude, who I didn't even realize is fucking Crossbones. For the heroes, the people that have history, that makes the characters more, kind of defined, and makes the relationship more like, it's not like you started off as enemies. You were friends. At least you thought you were.
Yeah, it wasn't that it was pushed that it was a big deal. It was just, it's because I was like, why are we seeing this guy's burnt crisp body? I thought he died, and I didn't get a chance to look for the name in the credits, and then later I said, somebody's like, that was Crossbones. I'm like, awesome. He played an integral part in the movie. He wasn't upplayed. He fought who he needed to fight.
He was great. He was awesome.
Right? It wasn't like he was trying to be overbearing and like everybody pile on one thing. And that was what's really nice. And then now you can grow the mythos because we still have Batroc out there. We now have Crossbones that has potential, out there. Winter Soldier's out there. So like Captain America has, his and I know your whole theory on who Robert Redford was.
Oh, I got something to say about Pierce.
But yeah, it's building it, right? It's like what I mean. The Nolan movies were so excellent because the villains built on one another, right? It's like Scarecrow. It was Scarecrow or crime, and then it was Scarecrow, and then it was Ra's al Ghul, and then it was in the next one it was we got the little joke with Scarecrow. He's nothing now, right?
Yeah.
But then it's the Joker, which then builds to Two-Face, and then in the last one it's Bane, who then builds to Talia. So it's like there's this evolution.
Yeah, and
instead of the gangbang pileup that we got in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
Which that was horrid.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. But it looks like they're coming off. They're coming off all tight with it now, being that they've already been greenlit for the Sinister, along with the same directors from the movie. So
now Alexander Pierce, is a real character who was in the Nick Fury vs. Shield comic back in the 80s. So that's a lot of that comic is the influence for this movie. Now, as much as I want them to stay true to their actual form, the original character is obviously a bit of a different take on the character. However, watching that movie, I was convinced from minute one that he was the fucking Red Skull. That he was Del Rusk, right? So in the comics, there's written by Jeff Johns, there's a whole, it sounds stupid when you say it, but...
It was Red Zone, right?
Yeah, I think it was a trade. They basically had this one where this senator, this guy in the government was trying to do all this stuff against the Avengers, and it turned out it was Red Skull, kind of in disguise the entire time. And his name was Del Rusk, which I don't know how no one thought that this guy was actually the Red Skull, because it's just an anagram of Red Skull. But it's fantastic. But watching it, I'm like, come on, this guy has to be the Red Skull. He has to be. And at least by the end of the movie, he's not. I mean, he's dead, but...
Well, I think the
they
problem...
never pull the mask off. There's a shot where it's zooming in on his body, and I'm like, here it is, and then they don't do it. I'm like, come on.
This is the problem is that we don't know what happened to the Red Skull. There's been no dropping of what happened to him after, the Cosmic Cube in the first Cat movie. So, I mean, it's at all plausible that he's shot into the future, and...
Well, Red Skull just kind of survives. He's not really, put into the future. He's kind of got, the infinity formula type thing Nick Fury has. Obviously, the movies are going to do it differently. But, no, I mean, I was blown away that he wasn't the Red Skull.
It's because it wasn't Del Rusk.
Yeah, I know.
It was Alexander Pierce.
I know, but it should have been. Because that would have been perfect.
You would have shit your pants, wouldn't you have?
I would have felt verified.
It would have worked, but the only thing I know from the whole Red Skull side of things is they did originally sign Hugo Weaving for multiple movies when he was in Captain America 1, but they released him from the contract because he was very vocal about not wanting to do anymore.
That's why you have this guy be the Red Skull now. He's older. His
Robert Redford.
His face looked like he was gonna...
Robert Redford.
Robert Redford was just wonderful.
He was great.
Yeah.
Have you seen him in Lions Over Lambs or Lions?
Been the Red Skull.
Yeah.
That movie was amazing.
Yeah, I love all of Redford's films.
What did I figure out? I don't know. Whatever the next movie is, if they have a bonus feature on the DVD Blu-ray for the Red Skull, that will probably be it.
It'll be it, yeah. Well, they continue that scene.
Yeah.
They pull his body up.
Just so what they did is in Avengers they had sort of the no, not in Avengers. In Iron Man 3 they had the short that tied to Captain America, and then in Thor 2 they had the short that tied to Iron Man 3. So if you continue the pattern with
I still need to watch those two shorts.
Yeah. Oh man, let's not forget just some of the comic relief. Larry Sanders.
Oh god. Hail Hydra. So apparently, Hail Hydra is now an internet meme of a picture of two characters whispering. It now says Hail Hydra under it as an internet meme, and that'll be the picture for this week's episode. Bert and Ernie saying Hail Hydra.
I love it.
Absolutely fantastic.
I love it.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that stuff was... Because when he pops up in the film, I'm like, he was in Iron Man 2. He was the Senate prosecutor at the hearings where Iron Man's just an asshole to him, and it's so awesome. And then he's at the end penning the medal on him and goes, oh, those little pricks hurt, don't they?
Oh, I just love the cinematography, too. Oh, my God, the fucking final, the crescendo of action between, Winter Soldier and Cap, and then you see this big old fucking tunnel, and you look down, and you just feel like, oh, this is like Empire Strikes Back. You just feel like the nerd in me just, makes connections to other shit, and just, come on, that imagery, you can just see it. Let's not also forget, all the fucking Jocks artwork for the film. Fucking bananas.
At the end?
Yeah. Love it.
Oh, we should actually talk about a character we haven't said much about yet. The Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The name of the movie.
So awesome.
Oh, man. It's just straight out of the books. Straight out of the books.
Yeah.
Minus the Cosmic Cube.
Yeah. I loved the gun work, the gunplay. I mean, he always had, it was either that or a knife, and he just, man, that was just incredible.
Well, I loved how they made his arm it was obviously mechanical. It shifted, it was moving and stuff like that. Where I love Cyclops and I love the Winter Soldier, but you always see them as kind of this stagnant, stagnant kind of metal look, but this they took it and made it more alive, more responsive to his actions and stuff, and I love that about this. So.
Oh, the way they did that was badass, and the scene where like the arm got shorted out for a second.
Yeah,
and
with Black Widow, that was sick. Yeah,
they did such a good job with that.
So dope.
Just in general, though, just the gravitas of sort of him catching the shield and throwing it back and literally pushing Captain America back with it, and.
Yeah, we saw that shot in the trailer of him grabbing the shield, but him actually throwing it back and Cap like being pushed way back on that roof like that was a good scene. Yeah. And they don't mess around with some of those fight scenes and chase scenes.
I think they did a really excellent job with kind of the switch, like, where all it took was, Steve saying Bucky, and there was kind of this glitch in the programming.
The hesitation.
Because he's never had any of this before. This is the first time in 70 years or so.
Yeah, it was like the Hound. What's a lami? What's a lami?
Right. So, and like the glitch is there, and like you see it kind of, he starts to ask the questions, and like it's the thing that raises the eyebrows, and then he goes back into programming, but it's too strong. Yeah. Of an emotion for the programming. So, and I loved how they flashed back to Skinny Steve. Yeah. Those were awesome. I'm like, woohoo.
Yeah, that was great.
Well, we got a minute or two here before we wrap up, but let's talk about what I think most people... Oh, go ahead.
The only thing I also want to say is the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show is actually doing a fantastic job tying into the storyline and everything they've built up in Captain America.
I want to talk about S.H.I.E.L.D. for a second. We actually did a question here about this from Colin, who says, has Winter Soldier got you back into watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. again? Maybe not. Well, maybe I just was like, hey, I just watched Cap. I'm going to jump back on S.H.I.E.L.D. I was going to anyway. Maybe that got me watching it a little bit faster. But I've now gone back and I've restarted watching it from where I left off. So I'm 10, 11 episodes into it maybe. I saw the Thor 2 episode. I'm a couple past that now. Having had my expectations by that show just put to nothing, just dropped to absolutely none, I'm actually enjoying the show now. Huh. I actually am kind of like, yeah, they just said Captain America? That's kind of neat. She just made a joke about the Hulk. That guy probably is some obscure X-Men villain I don't remember, but hey, he's an Asian guy that's shooting fire out of his hands. That's kind of cool. Things are happening. They're shooting guns. That's kind of fun. Like, I'm just completely just...
Like, there's no... You're not comparing it to anything. You're just
I'm there for the ride at this point.
It's so Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
It exists, and I'm watching it, and it's okay.
The way they've tied it into this movie basically makes that show the setup for... like the history going into Captain America.
This week,
segment, right?
This week, everything changes, as they say, because there's no more S.H.I.E.L.D., so now all the rest of the season, they're sort of on the run.
Going back into spoilers, their big reveal at the end of the last episode was the fact that they had traced the whole centipede and everything that was going on back to S.H.I.E.L.D., which links into the S.H.I.E.L.D. being controlled by Hydra.
And you had Sitwell... who's popped up a number of times, but obviously now had been in the previous episode, now going directly into Cap.
I knew that guy looked familiar.
Yeah. He's been in most of the other movies.
Yeah.
He's been in S.H.I.E.L.D. He's been in
that
the shorts.
Short with the gun.
He's
with
been
the
in a couple of the shorts. So yeah, he's been in a bunch of the episodes.
Yeah, Sewell was great.
How did we forget Doctor Strange?
Oh yeah, that was a nice little cute. That was cute.
Or you're
Phase 3 Doctor Strange movie confirmed.
Or you're not talking more about Mr. Computer Face.
Oh yeah, God. Okay, Zola, fucking perfect.
Oh,
I didn't know how they were going to do Zola, making him just like this computer hive mind thing. It's so good, and just whole like, oh, I've been keeping you busy while the bombs are falling.
Cap.
And what's hilarious?
Incredible.
What's hilarious about that is he can still come back.
Sure,
like it's not just like, and it was great that it took that much technology to store him. Like, I mean, our generation understands like the green screen, like computer with the huge keyboard and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But it's like just seeing all the tape drives and like it's an Indiana Jones warehouse of just computer shit. I'm like, that's awesome.
Not to mention, I did greatly appreciate the scene where they break the first monitor, so he just pops up on the next.
Yeah. So let's talk about what I think most people are going to consider the big spoiler, and that's that first post-credit scene.
The mid-credit
the mid-credit scene, or whatever the hell they're calling it now. So not only do we get a brand new villain, Von Strucker.
Yeah,
who,
sure.
Classic S.H.I.E.L.D.
Of course. Yeah.
Classic Hydra member, works at the Red Skull. Awesome. Great character.
Now,
I love that he's got the monocle and everything.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Now,
Totally.
How did he get the scepter?
No,
Is that
now
in a
that is
short-
Loki's scepter,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's Loki's scepter. Yeah.
Okay,
How did
because
he get that?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I had some people tell me that it wasn't, and I'm like, no, I'm pretty damn sure.
No, that's
was
fucking
Loki's
Loki's
scepter.
scepter.
Okay. I just want to confirm that.
Well, the last thing we saw with the scepter was using it to disable the thing, which
Black Widow
caused
was
it
going
to
like this.
explode, didn't it?
What happened?
Well,
Did that thing explode? And I'm trying to remember.
Well, is the scepter one of the Infinity Gems, the Infinity Stones, or whatever the hell they're calling it?
No, I thought it was powered by the.
It's powered by the
Tesseract.
cube, by the Tesseract.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I thought
it holds one of the cubes. But the bigger spoiler, I would think, is Marvel beat Fox to Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch on screen, despite their powers. I'm wondering if this is the legal difference, is that they can't have the same powers they have in the comics, because they are definitely slightly altered. Quicksilver, while running fast, is also hulking out and growing all big and weird, which Quicksilver doesn't do in the comics. And Scarlet Witch came off more like Jean Grey.
Yeah, she's more
like
telekinetic.
the chick from The Ring.
Yeah. She's making all these stuff move with her mind. So I'm wondering if the difference in powers is sort of what, like, they need to differentiate that from X-Men, because that is Future Past comes out in just a handful of weeks now. Right. So and they're going to be in that again. Feels like a bit of a different take on the characters, but what can you do?
Well, I had a difficulty because when they said the twins, I'm like, I literally went through like Captain America, like back issues, going, twins? What fucking twins were? Okay, nothing in Captain America. What Avengers twins were kind of these? I'm like, what Avengers twins? And then I was sitting next to John Dang, and John Dang's all, I think that's Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, and I'm like, but the legal, can they be in this movie? Yeah. And that's the thing is I think a lot of people from like my generation associate them more with the X-Men versus an older generation that associates them more with the Avengers.
It actually would be the opposite, because they started off as X-Men, but they've been in the Avengers way longer than they were X-Men. I mean, they were only X-Men very briefly. I mean, Scarlet Witch specifically is very much an Avenger over an X-Men.
Yeah.
She's never been in the X-Men as far as I know. Quicksilver has...
No, wasn't she in the Brotherhood of the Evil Mutants?
Well, yeah, she was in
like
Brotherhood for
one
a little
issue
while.
or two issues. Yeah,
my daddy's bad. I can't do this.
Back in the mid '60s or early '60s. But yeah, no, I mean they are mutants, so they can be in the X-Men movies, but they are Avengers, so they can be in the. They're two of like a handful of characters that can
Yes,
split.
the lawyers have been consulted.
Yeah.
So are we going to see Beast?
But again, he is much more tied in. It's like you're not going to see Mr. Fantastic in the Avengers, despite him being an Avenger at one point. He's FF. So, but that was cool to see them. I was not expecting to see
I wasn't
them
expecting that either.
in this. I mean, I was thinking maybe Guardians, or maybe just in Avengers 2. But because we've seen shots from filming Avengers 2 of them on the street. There's all this rubble around them, and they're doing stuff. So, yeah, I mean, don't know where they're going. So does this make Strucker the bad guy in Avengers 2? Is he involved?
See, I'm guessing Strucker's going to be that bad guy at the beginning, as you said. You set up.
They
Strucker
break him
as
out or
the-
something.
Yeah.
Oh, because they're like, oh shit, we have to. Well, if they're gathering the stones, then that would make sense, because they're like, oh, what happened to Loki's his staff? We have to go find it. So that'd be great. I'm totally down with that. And Guardians is coming up soon, and so yeah, man. Oh man, Marvel, he's killing it, guys, killing it with those movies. I don't know where they go. Past Cap, Cap's got one left. Thor's got one left. I'm assuming Doctor Strange. I'm assuming we'll get a couple Guardians movies if this first one succeeds. Black Panther is a good possibility. Hell, bust out a Falcon movie. Like, no way to not have a Falcon movie.
Oh, it was brought up, rumors, whatever. Michael C. Hall is, she said, sparked interest in being Matt Murdock. for the Netflix
Oh,
movies.
oh, right, Dexter, right?
Yeah.
I heard that. That is perfect.
That would be
Him as
phenomenal.
oh, that's awesome.
I think he's maybe a little too old,
Yeah,
but
no.
I don't. But it
No,
doesn't
no,
bother
Murdoch
me.
is always like
no, no.
But it doesn't
40-year-old.
bother me.
I'll give you the fix. Just put the glasses on.
Yeah, sure. No, that when I saw that, I was like, dead,
Yeah.
perfect,
Dude,
awesome,
and he's
perfect.
fucking. He's got a mean physique.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he does.
And he does like some martial arts in fucking Dexter.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
No, I had to step out for a second. So on the Von Strucker thing, you don't think it's going to be tied in with any of the Phase 2 movies like Ant-Man or...
I'm assuming it'll be Avengers 2 because Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch he's being held by, or they're being held by him.
Yeah.
And if they're in Avengers, he has to get out at some point, and it's not going to be in Guardians. So
No, but...
Charlie assumes, and I think it's a good guess, that he will be the villain they fight at the beginning of Avengers, much like
Yeah, but what are the other Phase 2 movies that we have coming out
That's it?
before?
Guardians.
Before? No, don't we have that one next year before?
no,
Is Ant-Man before?
I thought Ant-Man was supposed to be before.
I don't think
No,
so.
I think it's just Guardians and Avengers 2.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Oh, they fast-tracked Avengers 2 then?
No, I think it's always been. I think Avengers 2 is the May movie next year, right? Yeah.
Next
no.
summer, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
So
no, they got to
that's it.
pump something out before that. They got to do at least 2 to 3
Which
movies
is
a year.
Guardians.
Guardians.
But that's this year.
Yeah, that's it. And then that's it.
They do winter and then summer. So
I think that's all.
don't
So-
worry, there'll be plenty of other comic book movies to do more.
Yeah,
I mean, the big thing too was Winter Soldier for a lot of my friends that aren't into comics really or they're more into the indie comics and they're not into the superhero shit. You know, they're like, wow, that was a great film. That was entertaining. I'm glad I watched it in the theater. It was definitely a theater experience.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
so go out and watch that shit, kids.
definitely.
Well, I mean,
definitely.
it sets it up. I mean, Cap has a lot of good stuff, especially with Brubaker's
Yeah.
run. That I mean, having this established is kind of early on. You got a good two to four solid movies out of Brubaker's run if you do the Cap stuff right. So
Yeah, they do it right. All right, we're going to go wrap up now. We'll have plenty more to say. I think next week Toby will be back. We'll talk more about Cap 2 because I know he's going to see it while he's on vacation. Or not vacation, he's work vacation.
Winter Soldier. Please don't refer to it as a number.
It's Cap 2.
Winter Soldier.
All right. If it's Iron Man 3, then it's Cap 2.
No. See, the garbage is when they add a number to it
Iron Man 2 is pretty
because it's Avengers: Age of Ultron, not Avengers 2.
well, we'll see. Avengers 2. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Geekbox.net or comicsconspiracy.biz is where you can find these episodes and all our other episodes. Forums at geekbox.net or the Geekbox forums on Facebook. You can go talk to us there. What else? The Comic Conspiracy, geekbox.net. Send us an email. We'll read a few on the air from time to time if we have time. I'm Ryan Higgins, Ryan on Twitter. Brock is Brock Sager. Omar is Comics and Kine. Bryce is Larson Bryce. Toby is Toby XI. Hopefully both those guys are here next week. Charlie is Insanity and Chaos. Brock's got his blog at conspiratobrock.com as well as his new videos that he's been posting for his pull lists.
Yes, giving you a little bit more of a shorter version of Charlie's Infinite Long Box,
Excellent.
but for my what I'm looking at.
Omar's got comicsandtakine.com, and Charlie's got the Infinite Long Box podcast, and the Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension, his Doctor Who podcast.
Just say it 10 times fast.
Go find that wherever the podcast is being held, because apparently when I say the podcast URL name, I don't actually get it right. So wanderinfourd.com.
Yes, wanderinfourd.com.
Wanderinfourd.com. There you go. All right, digital.comicsconspiracy.biz. Go buy some digital comics. It's a whole.
Are the Cap sales
I
going
think
on
the Cap
still?
sales still go. It may have just ended today, but there's just crazy sales on there recently. Check that page out. Go in there all the time. There's always big sales Fridays through Mondays.
They had a big Jeff Johns sale recently.
Yeah, and I think that just ended too, but a lot of good stuff. And speaking of sales, we're having our annual April sale this upcoming weekend. It's April 11th through 13th, Friday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Friday and Saturday, 11 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday. You can come see myself, Brock,
On
Charlie, Marshall, who hates podcasts, will also be here. You could tell him how much you want him to be on the podcast.
Bring him a T-shirt that says "I hate podcasts."
Yeah, he doesn't hate podcasts. He just hates you, the listeners, not us. So he hates us as well.
Yeah, he hates us.
But there you go. So come down to the sale. We have dollar bins. We have
I mean, what if they can't come down to the sale?
then buy your comics on digital.comics.biz.
You should do something like where they give you a code from this podcast. If they actually listen all the way through to the end,
or you
give them that discount within a week after the sale.
Well, I mean, I've offered the sale discount online, but it's hard because I don't have an online inventory. So just coming down the sale, pick up those digital comics on retailer digital.comicconspiracy.com.
I tried, guys. I tried.
It's like comicretailer.com.
Yeah, it's comicretailer.comicsconspiracy.com or something.
The other way around, but yeah,
whatever.
The digital one gets you there. So
you can go to my blog and find it easily.
25% off trade paperbacks, 25% off current comics, $1 back issues, 50% off more expensive back issues, like thousands and tens of thousands of books outside for 50 cents each. We have so many books that are going to be out there. It's crazy. So come down this weekend if you're around. We'll be here with a lot of cheap comics. All right, guys, thank you very much. We'll be back next week.